when I mentioned to him coming and to Nico, and they said, well, there's not really anything going on. Is there, anything people want to talk about? Yes. Okay. Nancy Lindley has given up her time as she'll talk about local groups at some point when much more is going on, but things are beginning. As we call them in America, the snowbirds are returning. So we should have something coming up from Nancy in the next meeting or two. So right now, I would like to turn the meeting over to our sponsor, Thomas Cardin of the American International Tax Advisor. He came up on the night train from Bangkok, so give him a round of applause, please.
I apologize, I'm a little bit unprepared today. My calendar said that Chiang Mai Expats Club Oktoberfest begins, and I was thinking there'd be a large amount of beer here today, and apparently this is a dry meeting. Do this. It's a joke. Everybody knows that Oktoberfest is actually in September. So I'm assuming we have some Germans in here. Today I'm going to speak a little bit, though, about pension taxation in Thailand, very specifically. How many of you know that Thailand has a right to tax your retirement income when you're here in the country? Okay. Oh, sorry. So Thailand has a right to tax your retirement income while you're in the country. Okay. Practically, though, they do not do that. Okay. There's two different issues here. There's the law as it stands, similar to the visa issue, and how they do things. Okay. Under Thai law, if you are retired here and you do not bring any pension income into this country within 12 months from overseas, it's considered savings. Okay? So what that means is if you pull the money out of your pension and you bring it in the next day, theoretically Thailand has the right to tax you on that pension by law. Okay? If the money is kept in a savings account overseas for 12 months and then brought into the country, it is free of tax because it is considered savings and it's no longer current income to you. Thailand has what's called a territorial tax system, which means anything inside a year that's brought into this country becomes income. Okay. Now, the one exception to this is United States Social Security. Social Security by tax treaty is not taxable in Thailand, only taxable in the United States. Other countries may or may not have that particular issue as agreement with this. Okay. Now, this is what the law has said. Practically, we've had clients who have gone in to the revenue authorities and said, hey, I'm supposed to be getting taxed on this, with this, and the Thai revenue authorities say, go away, we don't even know how to do that with this. So you guys are all good for right now. However, there's some movement to start, again, in the government issues and the hallways, to start looking at taxing these pensions that are bringing in as a way of taxing this. Don't want to give you guys too much fear on this, but be aware that, in the next year or two, you may have to look at how you're bringing money in and how you're claiming money in this. And this is especially true if you're bringing in the 60,000 baht a month to get the retirement visa. They may begin to try and tax that at some point here in the future with this. They already legally are able to do it, but they just procedurally they have not been doing that at this particular case. But it's a coming issue that's going to affect almost everybody in this room if it comes through this. But if you tell them I'm pulling money out of my savings accounts instead of my retirement pension, you are free of taxation. Now, how that would theoretically work is you've got two different buckets, buckets. You pour your retirement savings into one bucket, and retirement income into one bucket. You then have another bucket that's filled up for that year of your retirement payments, and with your savings, and you pull that bucket out. And then each month you're pulling out of one bucket and filling another bucket up to this. By Thai rules, that would qualify you to be free of Thai taxations on this issue if they start to enforce this. Right? We've had several people come up to us and say, we've heard this is coming, they're discussing this, and we all know how Thailand works in discussions and stuff, but it's a really important issue that everybody should be aware of this, to it. Now, just to give you a little bit of idea, we're a long-term sponsor here. We specialize in expats who are retirees, helping you save for your your income. If you're a United States citizen, you can pull money out. You can use the same tax treaty to pull money out of your U.S. IRAs and 401ks free of tax as well. Your Social Security stays taxable in the United States, but you can play these things and come to a big advantage, with yourself in this. But sorry, I'm a little bit quick on this. Anybody have any questions about this, or?
Yes, if the tax does come in, it's going to be 7%, is it?
It could be, oh, sorry.
Just repeat the question.
She asked if the tax would be 7% on the retirement income. It could be up to about 25%. It's graded.
Depending on the amount.
Depending upon the amount, yeah.
Can you give us an idea of what amount? I mean, what amount?
It would start at a base of about 7% and move up to 25% depending upon how much you declare.
What income is 25%?
Honestly, that would, you're a little bit beyond me. That's a pretty high level, of over 100,000 US dollars. Yeah,
Okay.
you got to be pulling a lot in to hit those higher income levels.
I was advised, and this is going back about 6 or 8 years, that if it came in, as long as you had it out of your pension fund into a savings account in the prior tax year, you could bring it in.
What they're talking about there, he asked about if you've had this, if you've moved this into a savings account and then pull this in the prior year,
Yeah.
your free tax. It's a 12-month rule though, so that.
So it's, to clarify, yeah, so they, at that stage, it was, if you put it in before December 31 and pulled it out January 1 onwards, it was safe, but you're saying 12 months.
It's 12 months. You
12
have
months,
to
okay.
put the money in December, pull it out the next January.
Yeah, okay.
So you have to have 12 months out.
Yeah.
This is a little bit of a screwy system that they're talking about this, but they've not really referred, they haven't done the other tax rules yet, so they haven't really looked at this. But as it stands right now, as long as it's outside of that account within 12 months, you're fine. Now, again, them being able to check and verify where the money's coming into and out of is difficult. So you could put the money in January and, again, put the money into your savings and pull the money out of savings. As long as you've done this on a 12-month cycle, you're pretty much fine.
Okay, thank you.
The 12-month rule is going to be key on this to avoid this taxation. Not to mention the fact of preparing Thai tax returns could become an issue at some point in the future, which you guys are not having to do at this particular moment.
Thank you.
I was under the impression that retirement income is not taxed in Thailand for Thai people.
The foreign pensions are actually supposed to be taxed by the rules if they're remitted in Thailand. They have the different programs they have here that are tax qualified. That doesn't count the programs that are overseas. You've got provident funds and several other different types of funds that are beneficial here, like an IRA or like a Roth IRA in the United States. Those wouldn't apply. That comes out as straight income overseas. But their systems have just never really caught up with that. But the Thai government's starting to go, wait a second, especially the 60,000 baht requirement. The 60,000 baht requirement came in, and a lot of people said within 6 months of that, they're going to start taxing that 60,000 baht at whatever rate they pick with this.
65,000.
65,000 baht now. So that's kicked in. The only slow part of that has been COVID coming in and putting this whole process on hold to this. But we've had a couple people connected to the government, to different AmCham and stuff, saying they're heavily looking at doing that again. It's come back from the dead, so to speak, after COVID.
Did you say Social Security from the U.S. is not taxable?
By tax treaty, that is an absolute yes.
So as long as your source of funds is U.S. Social Security, none of that applies?
None of that applies. Now, there's probably going to have to be a declaration to the Thai government on that, but I believe it's Article 20 or 21 of the Thai tax treaty. Social Security is only taxable, and this is only for U.S. citizens, only where it arises from. So that goes back to the United States and stays taxable only in the United States. Now, if you use Article 19 and you have your IRAs and your 401ks taxed only here, but even though you're not being taxed, you can be free of tax on your 401ks and pensions. And because that number is zero, your Social Security number also becomes zero in the United States, and you can end up with zero taxation moving around. Separate conversation about IRAs and pensions.
I was wondering about distributions from a SEP IRA account. Might those be taxable at some point?
Yes, from a Thai standpoint, they could be taxable. From a,
Please,
yes, I'm sorry,
No, no, no.
our SEP IRA contributions, our distributions taxable. Yes, from a Thai standpoint, if you take the distribution and you pull it out the next day, legally. Now, proactively, or, you know, they're not really enforcing that at all through this, but the actual rules say, yes, it's taxable here. Now, you can use Article 19 and get that free of US tax, and as long as you don't remit it into Thailand within 12 months, you can be free of tax as well. So you can pay zero on that with some really proper tax money.
Okay, thank you.
You are an American international tax advisor.
Yes.
How many of your comments are aimed at American pensioners, and what about pensioners from other nationalities?
The only difference here is the United States Social Security is specific, and the distributions from tax in the United States is. The actual pension distribution issue, and this is part of the reason I brought, there's a multinational crowd here. That distribution is the same coming into Thailand no matter what. You don't have any, the tax trees aren't, if you have a UK SIP or something like that you're pulling out of, the same rules will apply. Thailand could potentially tax this income, and especially if you're meeting the threshold now of 65,000 baht. Thailand can start taxing that by its rules and regulations. They just fundamentally have not been doing that. They haven't had the capabilities of doing it. But prior to that, you used to be able to go to the embassy and say, I have this much income, and that was it. Now you have to show this income to this. Yeah, the concept of that was that they were going to then be able to start taxing that 65,000 minimum baht income each month that comes into you. COVID stopped that dead in its tracks with it. It may come back from the dead to this. There's a bit of a warning on this.
What if you're using 800,000 baht in the bank? Then they have no way really of knowing
And
where
this is part of the problems they've had. If you're using 800,000 baht in the bank, you're not really declaring any income. But then theoretically you'd have to fill out a tax form. What are you living off of? So potentially, if you're doing that, you've got to fill out a separate form saying, I have this pension, I'm receiving this, and potentially tax on it. There's a whole lot of, it's a complete change in the system from no taxation whatsoever to how do you begin to address the different retirees who are living here.
Yeah, but it'd probably be a little easier to prove that that's 12, you held it for 12 months.
12 months.
Yeah.
And the reality, again, you don't need an entire year savings account in here. You can have 1 month of savings account over there that you just refill and pull out, to it. And because that initial savings account was over 12 months old, you can say you're living off that savings.
Thomas, do you have an office in Chiang Mai?
No, our office is in Bangkok, but we come up here on just about a monthly basis. It's pretty easy to set an appointment. Like, we're actually the largest in Thailand at, actually we're going to be 17 people on January 1st. Any other questions? And if you do have personal questions, I'll be here after the meeting, to discuss as well and help you guys.